Hi, my name is Ariana Range. I'm a second year legal studies and political science major here at the University of West Florida. I'm 19 years old from Tallahassee, Florida, and I plan on being a lawyer once I graduate.
My name is Kiana May. I'm also 19 years old. I am majoring in healthcare administration and hopefully becoming a doctor in public health. And I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. So it's Lead with Hope.
LEAD describes the skills that we have, so leadership, excellence, academic excellence, activities, so activities that we've planned in the past, and diversity, because we're diverse.
And then HOPE stands for health, opportunity, pride, and then experience. That's what we hope to give to the students. So it's like us being the leaders, giving hope, and then giving hope to the students. Yeah, so as a healthcare administrations major, I think it's really good that we put health into student government, because usually when people think of student government, they think of like politics and government and all that stuff, which is great in majority of what we do. But I think a really big part of it is what can we give to the students that they don't know about. And so they don't really know where their money is going to, for their tuition. And so I definitely want to promote mental health on the campus, CAPS, and then also how much stuff they offer on campus, basically doing biofeedback therapy, psychiatric health, group therapy, and then going into more sexual health, you can go into campus and get sexually tested, and then as well as the free classes at the gym. And so whenever you pay for your tuition, it also pays for all these free things that go into your health. So mental health is just as important as physical and also sexual. And so we don't want to prioritize one over the other. It's those three healths that basically make a student as healthy as possible.
And then O is opportunity. So our big thing that Key and I want to do next year is make SGA more external, have the students know who their vice president and president are, so if they have any issues, they have any problems, they can come talk to us, and then hopefully we can we have all the connections on campus, so hopefully we can give them something to go off of, or connect them with people. So we're doing a day during the week, a specific time where they can come and just talk to us about normal stuff, and then just so that SGA is not as formal as it is. We're informal, we're students just like you. We're 19, we'll be 20 next year, but we're 19 and 20 just like the rest of the students on campus, so we go through the same things that they're going through. So just being more relatable on campus. Also making a calendar for all the RSOs, so kids know more about, the students know more about the events that are happening on campus. And yeah, so the opportunities is really just about getting SGA more out there and more supportive of other RSOs.
And then pride is really important for both of us. So Ari and I kind of both started an organization separately, but they've already been started up. And so previously it was called GSA, Gay Straight Alliance, and so that closed for a couple of years due to COVID, and so we started it up again. It's called SAGE, and it's me, Landon, HC, Layla, Lee, all of them my really close friends, and it was a bunch of queer people who just got together and we're tired of this, we want a space where we can be ourselves. And now we have over 250 members, and we're the #1 registered student org on campus. I'm always promoting SAGE. And so the main part of it is ASA just started up again, African American Student Association, and the goal was to show that Ari and I know how to start from nothing and build from that. And since we already built the foundation for that, all we want to do is just celebrate everything. Bear the fruit that you grew, or something, whatever quote that is. And so basically hosting block parties on campus, celebrating every single culture, every single race, every single sexual orientation, gender, anything that you are, I want to celebrate it, but also teaching students. So you come to college to learn, and so the biggest thing for me is how can I learn about other people's culture in an appropriation, in an appropriate way. And so instead of having stereotypes or knowing how to talk to people in different cultures, how to use pronouns correctly, and that's what the goal is for the block parties, but also to support small businesses as well. So that's what pride really is.
And then E is experience, and that's kind of the catch-all for everything. So by doing H, O, and P, we hope to improve the student experience, but also by doing that, we want to improve the athletic experience and bridge the gap between athletes and SGA and other students. So we want to create this Argo Rally, which is a really big pep rally in the Commons right before a big rivalry game for a lot of the sports. So we're going to talk to the coaches about which day they think is the best, and so the teams will come out, so it's a big game against a football team, so the football team will come out, hopefully we can get FSL to come out, all the student orgs to come out, and we're just all celebrating being an Argo and having pride in being an Argo, as well as just getting the trolleys to be like more on campus. So we hope to get like on game days the trolleys to come from the dormitories, the residence halls, to like the Argo, was that Argo Village?
The Penn Airfield?
Yeah, the Penn Airfield, like Argo Village over there where they have tailgates, so students aren't like drunk driving, but also for students who don't have cars on campus, so they can like be more involved in athletics. And so just in general, we also want to create the Blue and Green Squad, which is like a squad that is going to be responsible for creating like more traditions and stuff, because UWF is a very like young campus. We've only been here like 65-ish years, and so we don't really have those traditions that like a lot of other schools do. So we really want to use the Blue and Green Squad to create more traditions on campus and to like just really increase like school spirit.
Basically, UWF has 14 identity-based groups that's funded through like ANS fees, which is like basically student government. And so like we control where the money goes when it comes to like budgeting. And so under us, we basically said we don't support this, like the student reaction to at least student government, because there isn't one race, there isn't one gender, there isn't one sexual orientation that SGA as a whole doesn't cover. I can't name you one thing we don't cover, and so for one of us to feel threatened by the law or not to feel appreciated, that's a threat to all of us. And so what we did was basically said we don't support it, and that SGA supports anyone that feels threatened by this.
RSOs are funded by ANS fees, and so the ANS fee process is through the Budget and Allocations Committee, so they really decide which schools, which clubs get what money. So like they have to make a presentation and they have to come talk to the Budget and Allocations Committee, so it's really up to the Budget and Allocations chair. And I think what he was really trying to say is that SGA is not going to stop funding those ANS fees to those clubs and to those RSOs. Like yes, it has to get approved by the president and then the board of trustees, but most of the time they really do trust us and they trust like our ideas and like our like reasoning, and so most of the time they won't like fight back against it. But if they do, as president, I'm serving on the board of trustees, so I obviously speak against it and like try to like advocate for us to keep those fundings. But if RSOs will most likely still continue to be funded for diverse, like quote unquote our own diversity. It's more so like I know that like ASA and SAGE have worked really closely with Office of Equity and Inclusion, so that's where like you can get like a $300 like project grant. I think that's where it becomes a little difficult, but ASA and SAGE are both funded for next year, and so hopefully they can continue to be funded throughout the years.
I can say as much as I want to, I can advocate as much as I want to, but it really is up to Budget and Allocations Committee, and so the next Budget and Allocations chair, it's all up to them. But I knew currently as vice chair for budgets, I always advocated for who I was a part of. I was not in the room for Hispanic Student Alliance, Asian American Student Union, or SAGE because I'm a part of those three groups. But for African American Student Association, I definitely vouched for them to get as much money as they could for every single identity-based org to get the correct amount of money for next year. So I know that, me and Ari did our part when it came to actually fulfilling Pride. It's more than just being happy, more than just learning, it's also supporting and being successful in it, so.
As long as we can do it, as long as like the ANS like statutes don't get changed currently, because I think the bill is saying that it's like state funding, and ANS fees comes out of our tuition, so the school really doesn't touch ANS fees. It's a big deal of like SGA, like that's the big project of Budget and Allocations Committee that we get assigned to. So as long as like that statute doesn't change right now, our SGA, like our next administration, will be committed to like continue to fund these projects.
Yeah, we'll never stop fighting for people who need us. I'm constantly worried about my rights. I'm not gonna lie to you. As a woman, I'm constantly worried about my rights. I never know what the government is gonna do next. I never know what bill is gonna be passed. I'm not majoring in politics, but I try to be updated as much as possible. And whenever I do hear it from my poli-sci friends, it's a scary thing to learn. I hope not, but you prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Just planning for the future. I think the best thing you can do is prepare. And so I know that we did as much as we could. I can't control other people in the future, sadly, but I knew that whoever is in my administration, they know what we're running for. They know what me and Ari stand for, and I hope the future generation carries on what we did.
I know like a big thing like this year was like I helped a lot with freshman committee, and then next year Key is kind of over freshman committee, so whoever most of the time, most of these past few presidents except for the current president, were in freshman committee before they came in. So like that's the stepping stone into getting like your foot into SGA essentially. And so I know a big thing is like mentoring. And so like he said, everyone knows who we stand for. So we're definitely going to be like teaching them or like talking to them and like having these discussions like what do you support, what don't you support and stuff. And everyone knows like what we're running on. So everyone who is a part of it already believes in like what we're doing, and like the resolution essentially passed unanimously in Senate, and most of the people who are in Senate are returning for next year. And so hopefully the administration that comes after that, we hope to set the example, and we hope to set precedent for like supporting these organizations on campus.
Yeah, and so Ari and I are actually planning for like the student orientation for the next incoming freshmen to like go up there during, you know, summer orientation and being like, hey guys, we're Key and Ari, and we're, you know, your vice president and your president, and this is what we stand for, this is what we're going for. If you are a part of student government, if you weren't, if you want to make a change, and then tell them about us, please join SGA or please apply to be an SGA. And I feel like what Ari said, mostly like me being the chair of freshman committee, how can I influence like the future, so whenever I leave, whenever Ari leaves, like our legacy will still be there.
I mean, I think it's what we've been saying before. It's like a lot of fear of like being a minority on campus and being like having that comfortability, like the fact that like every single year we're having like a bill that comes out that's saying that like you don't have the right to speak out or you don't have the right to like be comfortable on campus. It's a very scary thing, I think, and it's not somewhere that you want to be. And I think it will influence a lot of minorities that are coming to the, like Florida schools. Like no one's going to want to come here anymore. And I know a lot of us came here because of like Bright Futures. Like a lot of us stay in state because of Bright Futures, and that's just like a tough situation. Like, do I want to stay in a state that's not supporting me, or do I want to go out of state and like, you know, obtain a lot of debt for like no reason, you know? So I know like the big push for ASA was to be like more comfortable on campus, and I know like a lot of students are really grateful for ASA and really grateful for like, you know, D9 sororities and fraternities, because it gives you like a place of belonging. And it just really sucks that like that can get taken away at any time for like really no reason. Like I think you should celebrate like whatever you are and like be prideful of whatever you are, and however you like identify. So it's just, it really sucks, and it's not a fun thing to go through, and it's not something that we should be worried about as college students on campus like fighting back. But it's also just like you kind of feel helpless because like you're not making the bills and you're not going through it. And I know like how the legislative process works, so like it's still sad to just see on campus and to see that like it even got introduced on campus and stuff.
For me, like Ari's talking about Florida as a whole, for me I'm more concerned of like at UWF. And so there's like 3 specific minors. There's gender studies, Latin studies, and Africana studies. With the defunding, with like underfunding or not funding anymore of DEI, it risks like the amount of knowledge about these minors. And so not learning about where you come from, how history was, and then also being told that your history is theoretical is kind of absurd. Like Ron DeSantis said that he wanted to start teaching history from the Declaration of Independence, and that's a scary thing to learn, like starting off our like country's history from there and saying that what happened and like with Native Americans and with slavery was all theoretical. That just blows my mind, because like my parents aren't from this country, and so growing up I didn't know what happened here. I knew what happened at my parents' country, and for me to go to school and then learn, it was like, oh my gosh, like this happened not only in Colombia, this happened here in the United States too, like slavery happened here too. And so imagine like kids that are here for like generations not learning about their history, and it's just like, what is this undercover racism that people feel? Why do they feel this way? I didn't even know slavery was a thing. I didn't even know racism was a thing. Like women have to fight for their rights. Like what? Like all this stuff is crazy. And so for it to be Women's History Month, but yet they want to take away gender studies, that's crazy to me. Like how are you going to celebrate it nationally, globally, but in one state we can't even? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like people are going to be so confused and uneducated, and that's what kills me. It hurts.